Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Karina from the English Matura Express. It's exam time tonight, so what you're going to hear is two trial exams about different topics. Okay, as you have seen in the introduction, it's going to be about work and about social ties. So two topics that are maybe, well, they are related, just not immediately. As I said, it's two trial exams. I will briefly talk you through the instructions. Me and my partner, who you can't see at the moment, but we'll get to know.
Hello.
Hello. He's the voice from the off. You can't see him, but you can hear him. But you will be able to see him soon enough. He will then do the exam, so it's the same role distribution as always. I'm the interlocutor, I'm the examiner. He is the examinee. I will also point out a few things that you may want to pay some attention to while he is talking, stuff that I think is important in oral exams. And I will also briefly point out stuff that I noticed during the exam, if there's anything that I thought was great or whatever. Good. We start with the social ties part. So in your books, for as far as I can remember, the chapter on social ties includes various sub-chapters. So it's family, friends, and I think it also briefly touches upon work, on the importance of a good relationship between you and your colleagues, which is probably the link to the second exam, or I tried to kind of establish some kind of link, because the second exam will be about job satisfaction and about work-life balance. And I guess colleagues also play a part in the job satisfaction thing. If you absolutely hate them, you might not be all too satisfied. Anyway, the topic of social ties, as I said, there's quite a lot of information on how friendships work, and also on the science behind love. That is topics that I won't touch upon, so they're not part of the social ties thing here. So the two of us will be focusing on the concept of family, because that's, I think, well, the one topic where you can make a lot out of. One thing concerning the exam situation as such, please feel free to comment whatever you want to comment on. The chat function in the stream. As neither of us can see the screen during the exam, or well, I could, but I can't answer, and he can't because he's facing the other direction. We will answer questions or react to comments afterwards. So don't be surprised if there's no immediate reaction, because, well, typing and doing an exam is probably quite hard for him. Anyway, here you have the exam. The situation first, you all know that you're always put into a situation. Very often the situation says something like you are an expert on topic XY, which I tried to do as well, but then I thought it was quite hard to give you the role of an expert on something. Who are you if you're an expert on families? So I didn't really know what to make of it. So I put you in a classroom situation, basically, so you are before your exams, obviously, otherwise you won't be sitting here. And you're preparing for the exam, for the final English exams. You came across words like nuclear family, rainbow families, and so on and so forth. You didn't really know what they were. You looked them up and you want to share your knowledge with your colleagues. So it is up to you to kind of, well, give them some information regarding those key concepts. So a brief description of what is out there nowadays, like what types of families are there. You, or he in that case, but we're always kind of pretending it's your exams. You should comment on the concept of a nuclear family, like what is it? What is a patchwork family? What are foster families? What are single parents? And what are the problems that the respective types of families are confronted with, if there are any? I guess there are some problems in certain concepts and structures, fewer problems in others. There is definitely a shift from the traditional, parents and one or two children type of family to more alternative structures, be it patchwork families, or be it single parents, or be it gay parents or like two moms, two dads, whatever. Is there an impact on society? If yes, what is it? If you think that there isn't, let me know why. So that's more kind of like extra textual knowledge, I suppose. There is a text, there's also a link to a text, the headline of which is there is no such thing as a typical family any longer. That is something that he will have to discuss with me, or that we have to discuss. Is that true? Is the typical family going down? What is a typical family? Whatever. And then we're going to talk, well, we sum it up kind of thing. Are you ready?
Yes, I'm ready. So, let's switch to this.
That's him. That's the person
Hello?
I was always referring to as him, very politely. As I said, I will afterwards point out stuff that I noticed. What I would ask you guys to do is to have a look if, like the first, you know that there are 4 categories that you get grades on in your exams. The first one is task achievement, so have a look whether or not he talks about all the topics that I want him to talk about. Oh, there is. No, there isn't. Okay. Sorry. So have a quick check whether or not he at least touched upon everything that I kind of mentioned. And also in the dialogue part, try to find out if it is really a dialogue. Like if he's asking questions as well, it should be a conversation, providing that the questions are not like, come on, Karina, tell me your whole life story, because that's not, he needs the major part, or he needs to do the major part of the speaking. But one characteristic feature of a dialogue is that there is communication going back and forth, so also pay attention to that. So, if you're ready, I am.
I am ready.
I've heard that you're here to do your A-levels tonight.
Yes.
Would you mind to quickly introduce yourself first?
Yeah, my name is Fred, and I'm here to do my A-levels, of course, and I've decided to do my A-levels because I started off as a mechanic in the early days. So when I was 15, when I finished my compulsory school years, I decided to become a mechanic, and after a few years now, after 5 years exactly, it was just boring for me actually, being a mechanic and doing all the stuff, and then I heard of a friend that he's doing the A-levels at the VFI, and I wanted to do, since I wanted to do actually everything concerned with media. I didn't know exactly what I wanted to do, but I wanted to go on a university and study media, or like doing video, some creative stuff, or photographing.
Oh, nice.
I decided to do the A-levels here because it's for me the best way, I think, and I hope that the future brings that I'm able to study abroad, and also here in Austria, but I want to go abroad, and yeah.
Going abroad always means good English skills, so
Yes.
that's we're gonna be testing now. You have decided to talk about types of families and social ties in like a wider sense. Could you tell us what types of families that there are nowadays as compared to a couple of years ago?
Of course. Of course, there are the modern type of families, but we don't talk about those. Those are called the nuclear families. There are also patchwork families. We have single-parent families. We have foster families. And we also have, of course, homosexual marriage. And in combination with homosexual marriage goes that also those people want to have children. So that's another type of family, I'd say. So if it's gay marriage or, yeah.
That's true. Any problems that you could think of that those alternative types could have?
Yeah, I think that sometimes with single-parent families, I think it's not easy to to be a single parent, since everything you have to do by your own. So normally, if you have like the traditional type, or even if there are two people, it doesn't matter if it's male or female and female, or male and male. If there are two people involved in a family, and a kid, of course, or more children, then it's more easier, because you can just separate the work you have to do. So a child takes up a lot of time, and it should be given a lot of time, of course. It needs to develop and has to have several things to learn. And of course, I think as a single parent, it's really, really hard to do everything by your own, especially if you have an infant. It's really exhausting at the beginning, of course. And if you are a single dad, it's not more exhausting, but normally you breastfeed a child, and then you have to kind of use alternative methods that are not considered as good as the natural breastfeeding. So there could also be dangers, but I know a lot of single parents, and they're doing a good job, but they're really hardworking. So
that's what I thought. You mentioned an interesting aspect. You mentioned single dads as opposed to single mothers, which I guess are more frequent, I suppose. Are single dads less accepted in society, you think? Or is there a difference to single moms? Like being a single parent is no problem now.
Thinking about society, I think it is more accepted than when a mom raises her children or her child than a dad.
Okay.
Because a dad he's in the traditional role of providing money, food, and we all know the traditional.
And you think that Austria is still kind of going along those more traditional lines?
Yes, I do think so. Yeah.
What about gay marriages or gay families? Are they accepted in Austria?
No, not really. Actually, unfortunately, because I think every couple, doesn't matter if it's homosexual or heterosexual, has to have the opportunity to raise a child. And of course, there are parents that are for example, gay parents. They can also provide the child with the same love and same care. So
then,
in my view, it works just fine. But I think in Austria it needs some time. I think a lot of people don't accept it at the moment. But I hope the best for the future.
Well, Austria is one of those countries where things sometimes take a while. Like, would you, because the whole thing concerns children, basically, would you start in school with like some, would you talk about the topic if you were a teacher? Like, guys, be accepted or be more open in the future. There will be different types of families, or would you promote gay families in that sense? Or would you educate children in that direction?
I definitely do that. And I also, what I remember from my school books is that the pictures in the school books are also always depicting families the traditional way. There is just the mother, there is the father. Maybe nowadays there may be pictures where there is a colored woman and a white dad or something to integrate also other cultures. But I haven't seen nowadays, because my little sister is in school now. I haven't seen any gay couple with a child or a depicted. Yeah.
Would you think that is an approach, like basically like putting pictures in school books and relying on the fact the kids probably just soak it up and don't question it if they see it from like childhood on?
It's a part, I think. It's not. You have to kind of advertise it too as a teacher, I think.
Yeah.
But it's a step forward. I'd say. Yeah.
Okay.
Definitely a step forward.
So you would kind of play the card to, or play the ball to teachers and parents to kind of
I think
educate.
it starts with education, and of course which attitude your parents have, and just
So the role model kind of thing. Yeah, I'd definitely say so too. If we had, or how should I ask the question without giving the answer? That's always the tricky part. If we were a more acceptable society, would that lead to any changes in our attitudes or towards family, or do we just take it the way it comes, basically?
I think if society, so we are also part of society, so if we start thinking the right way, more people would also have the guts to do it. Actually, that's the same. I think that's the same with typical stereotypes of female of the females and male. Since a man has always to do stuff like that's I don't know, driving cars, playing football, and female or women are linked to other stereotypes. So I think if society were to think different, it would be a lot better, I think.
Yeah, that's, well, yeah, I guess the more we have it, the more, like, hopefully it will become acceptable at some stage. The text that you had to read has the headline, "There is no such thing as a typical family anymore." Do you agree? The author is very adamant about it. He basically says, well, there's so many different concepts out there. Why would we have one thing that is called a traditional family and the rest is not?
Yeah, he pretty relied on his statistics. Of course, it's very interesting that in the 1960s, the percentage of the traditional, so the nuclear family, where the mother stays at home and the dad goes to work, was about 65% of all inhabitants in this country. And nowadays, it's about 35%. So we see a clear difference. It's a lot of time has passed, but it proves that the typical family does exist, but it declines actually, and that's kind of a proof that we as a society develop into another point of view, how we see the structure of a family nowadays.
Yeah, that's what I probably also the point that we get divorces more easily and kind of dare to start a new family as a, like, I don't know, patchwork concept or single parent concept, I guess. So you basically say, well, yeah, typical family does still exist because there are still people upholding the value kind of thing, but we are branching into different directions. That's true. I would say so too. Thankfully, like, I would definitely.
I think there's also a lot of women that just enjoy being in this role of not working and providing for the family in another way. So it's a personal preference actually. But of course, the traditional view is always linked that it's it was this way and it has to be this way.
Yeah.
And we need to rethink and start doing it differently, I think.
That was actually a very nice finishing sentences. Unless you have anything to add to the topic, that was the official end of your exam. Thank you very much.
You are welcome.
So now you know an awful lot about what we think about families, traditional or non-traditional. There's not much to point out really. There's a few things that I noticed. Well, what he did was basically leaving out the definition of what a nuclear family is. Basically saying, well, you guys know what it is anyway, or like, I know what it is anyway. You can do that, of course. You can say, well, nuclear family is the traditional way, like the way it always was, mom, dad, and a couple of kids. Depending on how much you have to say about the topic, having a few keywords, having a few concepts to explain, of course, gives you time to speak. So, or, gives you something, let's start differently. It gives you something to hold on to. If talking about families, if social ties in general is not the topic that you want for your A levels, because, I don't know, you like nutrition and health more, I would suggest that you talk about the definitions, because you can kind of define quite easily what a nuclear family is. He had a lot to say, so he basically said, well, nuclear family is the way that it always was, kind of thing. Like the core concept of a family. If you don't like the topic all too much, and if you need speaking time, just go into more detail. Say, well, yeah, and the nuclear family used to be this and that, and nowadays it has changed, but there is still a lot of people who kind of uphold the values of a nuclear family and basically say, well, the only proper type of family is mom, dad, and a couple of kids. So, what I wanted to illustrate with that is that such a type of like instruction gives you the chance to either summarize everything. He talked about everything that there was in my bullet points. You either do it the way he did it, or you elaborate on the different types of family, because that gives you speaking time. He jumped into the kind of discussion, opinion kind of thing quite quickly. If you don't have that much to say, just, hold on to your bullet points and talk about them for a while. Yeah. I think that the better the text is and the more statistics you have, like having the statistics or having some kind of factual data is always good. If you have something like that in the text, I would mention it if I were you, simply for the fact that your interlocutor can start from there. I could have asked him about, values in the 1960s and why has it changed, and was there no gay people in the 1960s who wanted to, kind of start a family with a gay partner, and we could have talked about that, but, that gives you, or might give the interlocutor something to get him or her started, which then in turn gives you something to talk about. So if you have statistics, mention them. Yeah, I think that was it. There was everything there, really. So we didn't really talk about the rainbow. Well, we did talk about rainbow families. Rainbow families would be, he called them gay families, so homosexual couples. I have heard that the word rainbow family is not that well regarded anymore, because, well, I think that the connection to the gay, lesbian, genderqueer movement was too obvious for some people. They didn't want this denomination for their type of family. It was too much of an alternative kind of thing. You may want to read up on that, because, well, it gives you something to talk about, some extra textual knowledge, which is always good, I suppose. Okay, let's move on to the second one. Now we are talking about work. a quite nice topic, or so I think, because most of you guys are, as it is a Lehre mit Matura thing, you will have colleagues, you will have a working environment. I guess that is something that gives you a lot of first-hand knowledge to talk about. In the topic world of work also includes the whole job interview thing and how to behave in a job interview and so on and so forth. You probably do have quite a lot of experience there. So I always find it one of the easier topics. I have linked the topic mainly to job satisfaction. So what I want to know from Christoph then is, what is job satisfaction for him, because it's a very personal thing. What is the more or less official definition of what work-life balance is? Everyone is talking about work-life balance. How important is it? Can I not have a work-life balance and still be happy? I guess that there's a lot of people out there who like their jobs a lot and would also consider them a pastime, like a hobby kind of thing. Maybe not a pastime, but a hobby. So, well, can work be part of life kind of thing? And how is the whole thing related to success? So what is work-life balance? How is it related to job satisfaction? It's a quite obvious question. There is statistics. So there is a statistics on what we think is important when choosing a job. So what criteria do we think are important? Thinking about the fact that we then, if we have the perfect job, can achieve job satisfaction first of all, and then also get a work-life balance. So what is important for us when we look for a new job? Because at the end of the day, we're probably all working towards job satisfaction. There's a statistics from 2015, so quite recent, let's say. There's some opinions about what people say regarding work-life balance, work time flexibility, work hours as well, which is interesting because there is this discussion about the 12 hours day, how would, if you know or if you happen to know something about the topic, you could include that as well, saying, well, yeah, if I had to work for 12 hours, that would probably take away from my job satisfaction or not, depending on how you see it. If you can make connections to what is going on in the real world, that's always quite good. And, well, yeah. Also, a brief comment on how many couples there are where both parts, mom and dad or girl and boy, are working. Compared to the baby boomers generation, so a couple of years earlier, which is a quite significant difference. You could also comment on that. We can basically take up what we talked about in the first discussion, actually. It goes along the same lines, really. Anyway, let's see what different identity he comes up with this time. It's like split personality kind of thing.
Yeah, it is.
Okay, are you ready?
Yes.
Good. So welcome to your English exam on this Wednesday evening.
Hello.
I hope you're well prepared and looking forward to it as much as I do.
Yes,
Could you please let me know who you are?
I'm Flynn, and I'm doing the A-levels, of course, and I wanted to do the A-levels because I want to be a makeup artist. Nice. For big TV and movie productions, actually.
Sweet.
And before I started doing the A-levels or starting with the course, I'd been employed as a gardener in the at the university, actually.
Nice.
Yeah.
So you were responsible for all the fancy plants and stuff at the Hauptuni. Very nice.
I always liked plants, but now I want to do something different. And since I'm surrounded by intelligent mostly intelligent people. I decided to do the A levels and then go to Munich actually.
Nice.
To study all the things that are surrounded as being a makeup artist. And
I guess Munich does definitely make sense in terms of like film industry and stuff. I can totally see that work. Have you done the other two subjects already? Like, do you have your German and maths A levels already, or is English the first one? Okay.
English is the last one actually.
Oh, nice. So we will make sure that it's a good finish in that case. So you have a lot of working experience, obviously, which plays into your hands because your topic is work. Could you let us know what job satisfaction is for you and what work-life balance is in general, like a definition of what it is?
Job satisfaction. So in my point of view, job satisfaction was always something secondary, actually. I know it sounds quite interesting, but I'm just more into my hobbies, and work is just a thing that provides my money and I earn my money with. So of course work should be not like that I'm really disgusted by it to get up and it's really demotivating, but I guess work was okay for me. It was just a job for me. It wasn't like when I was really passionate about, but I sometimes enjoyed it more and sometimes less, but it was okay, and it was not like a job that I could do forever, but I focused on my spare time, on my hobbies. Therefore I decided to not work that much, so and did more like leisure time activities.
Okay, well, that sounds good. So that was basically also a definition of what work-life balance is for you in that sense. As you now want to change your job, that's why you're here, basically. Do you think that you as a person, or as the type of person you are, that you can be so passionate about a job that it eventually leads to job satisfaction? Like, can a new job do something that the gardening didn't do, kind of thing?
Yes, especially with arts, like as a makeup artist. I think working in arts generally is something different than working in just an office and doing a calculation or any other, as for example working as an accountant. It's the horror for me. It would be really, I couldn't imagine doing it. But of course I chose this future job of mine to be able to work where I normally only so I have to put it in another way. My hobby is being a makeup artist, so now I'm converting my hobby into my job, and therefore I think it will change dramatically. So I haven't worked, as I've said, so far in a job that I really liked or where I did the thing that I'm really good at. So I'm really curious how it works out. So.
No. But you're not excluding, because in the beginning you kind of put it in a way as if work was only a means to an end, like you have to work because you have to. But there is the chance that you find a job that absolutely satisfies you and that makes you super happy, which is good. You were given some very nice statistics about what is important for people of our generation, more or less, in terms of work. Could you maybe just point out one or two things that the statistics say is important to us, to you, whatever?
Yes, of course. The most important thing to people in a job is the work-life balance. So obviously people, as we see in the other part of the statistics, are really desperate in the first 5 years of their job to find a appropriate work-life balance. So I think at the beginning it's really crucial for you to make a plan or something like this, because of course at the beginning, if you're starting a job, if you're starting out new in a job, it's for you that it's important, you want to stay in the job, but you can't just focus on the job 24/7. So therefore the statistics also prove it, and good work-life balance is essential. And another part is that people want the opportunity to progress and be a leader. And I think that's in our genes somehow. Everyone wants to be a leader, but not everyone can be a leader, of course. But it also isn't only the statistics don't only focus on now I lost it. Do not only focus about being a leader, but also to progress as an employee. So, of course, some guys and some girls just are fine with that job and just doing the same thing every day. But in my opinion, that's not how I can work for 40 or more years. So.
No, that would sounds quite hard. Which of the points, if you have a very quick look at it, what would be important for you personally, or would it also be like point 1 and 2 are, or like ranking 1 and 2 are good work-life balance and the opportunities to progress, as you said? What would be your number 1?
Actually, I just was, when I had my preparation time, I thought about it actually, and what really stuck out here is the strong sense of purpose, actually, because if you're having a job that doesn't make any sense, you're just doing any random stuff, it's like, for me, I couldn't think of it actually. It's my job has always been some kind of a thing that has a sense. So it's true.
But yeah, and then you also did some creative, like you did something with your hands, which probably gives you, like, you did something, you achieved something. The statistics, which I find quite interesting, it talks also a lot about reputation. Is it important for you that you work for a company that has, like, that is renowned, that is famous, because then, you know, all your friends would say, oh yeah, great, you work for such a great company. Would that be something that is important for you?
Not really, actually. I think it's quite popular if people want to work at Google, for example. They're well known for being just an easy employer. But it's just from the outside. It just looks as if they have flexible hours. It seems that you can work when you want, and but it isn't. Of course, you can work when you want, but you also have to work several hours. So yeah, it's not that good actually as it's depicted by society.
Being promoted.
So generally, I don't really care about it if I'm working at a really huge, well-known company or a really small one that's even better working there.
So the whole thing about, prestige kind of job is not that important. I would also not regard that as that important. We have this second part of the statistics where there's these two incredibly unhappily looking people.
Yeah.
The statistics say that nowadays almost twice as many people are or that it's twice as many couples where both parts are working than a couple of years ago, like 60s, 70s, and so on and so forth. Why is that? Any educated guesses on why?
Yeah, I think that just life has become more expensive, and especially if we take a look at also Austria, there are a lot of people, especially in Innsbruck, you can't afford the rent when if not both of the parents are working, because the rent is so extremely high in Innsbruck, so that it's not possible actually if you have a child, or even if you sometimes if you're lucky and find a cheap flat, but then it's somehow the space I think will then
decrease
decrease and
so money is definitely
that's the biggest issue, and of course our government is also has to do something, but
well they do, like they make, you will have the chance to very soon work for 12 hours a day if you want to.
Yes, I'm really looking forward to it.
That gives you a lot of money then, and a lot of like nice rent money for your. Are you in favor of the 12 hours working day?
No, not actually. I'm not the person that works 12 hours. I think work is not that important.
Okay, well, I guess...
It's important to earn money, of course. You have to live somehow. But I think people are just too worried about it. If you can afford things that satisfy you, then your job is okay. But if you want to afford, I don't know, any luxury tools, you don't need it to be satisfied. Or that's maybe true. I'm just a humble person. That
could be. Well, I guess, like, I also think that work-life balance is very important, and that, well, hopefully as many people as possible get a job that they really like and can kind of combine it. I think that would be my ideal kind of thing. Combining job and work. Anything else? Any other comments on the topic? Otherwise, your time has been up 2 minutes ago.
No.
Well then, thank you very much and good luck for your makeup artistry thing.
You're welcome. Thank you.
So, that's everything again we have to say about work. A brief comment on the statistics. You may not have seen them that well because I was quite quick in showing you. Usually, in your preparation time, like you have half an hour for the text and the statistics. If you have visual input, you don't have to have it. Sometimes, like I guess it very much depends on who the teacher is or who the person is who puts together the exams. Some people like it more than others. I like them very much because I think they give you something to talk about, something to hold on to. One quite likely question in statistics of that sort is the question, first of all, is there anything that surprises you in the statistics? If not, invent something. I don't know, maybe that so many people care about the technology kind of thing, like the penultimate point. The company invests in and uses the latest technology. That's something that I personally would not care about, but you could put it as a point that kind of surprised you. Well, I didn't think there was that many people who are into technology and want their company to be good at that or something like that. And probably you'd also get the question what your answer would be, so also think about something that you would give as an answer here. That's my recommendation for statistics. Another thing that I noticed while Christoph was talking was the one moment where he basically stopped mid-sentence and started from the beginning, started anew, which is a good thing. I have been present at quite many oral English exams and also at the discussions about the exams outside the exam room. People always think that if they start a sentence and have to rephrase it or have to start from the start, if they have to reformulate the whole thing, that is a bad thing, which it isn't necessarily, as long as you don't do it all the time, because that's how conversation works. We sometimes notice while talking that what we say is going to be utter rubbish, and so we kind of rephrase and start from the beginning. Sorry. So if you have to do that during the exam, do it. It's no big issue, no big deal. That's a criterion of how communication works. We notice mid-sentence that it's stupid, so we kind of start again. As long as you don't do it in every second sentence, that's absolutely fine. So don't be worried about that, and don't be like, okay, panicky, oh my goodness, I had to start the sentence, didn't know what to say, whatever. That's totally fine, because that's how speaking works at the end of the day. Okay, I think that was it. Job satisfaction, success, yeah, we talked about everything. We didn't really talk about success as such, but then the way the conversation went, it was quite obvious what he thinks is success in the job, or what he thinks is success in life, so I guess there was no real need to talk about it. Yeah, I think that was it, and yeah, I guess we see each other again probably on Monday, I don't know. But anyway, looking forward to seeing you again. Thank you very much, and good night.